Hey guys, it's Steven. Got a weekly pivot chart update here. I went ahead and created next week's pivot points that we can use to kind of calculate supply and demand metrics on the chart here. So simply these are just good for mathematical calculations. So what I found very interesting is um, overall the past week, this central pivot acted as resistance. And here we have the central pivot um, right in the middle of where the ranges were for last week. So I do expect to basically just kind of hang around this number here, unless we get some news from Becker. I believe we're also going to be minting the Citizen Season 2 as well. You're going to be uploading those possibly on Tuesday. So there could be some Bytes utility shoved in there. We don't know. So that could be a catalyst. But otherwise, as you can see, we've got a pretty concentrated range here. So that's why we have a much more concentrated pivot points. So yeah, overall, it's looking just fine. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. And then another thing to point out for the central pivot for the week before at 14 here. For this week, it's actually going to be a resistance. So I think that's playing out pretty well to what we've seen in the past. So we'll go ahead and keep an eye on that. And just to check up on the bytes to Ethereum ratio, similar chart where we have the resistance at the central pivot. And here we are again now where we're going to have resistance at that pivot. So that'll be a key number to watch, that 0.005. And then we have the central pivot right around where we are currently for the price. So for me, this is playing out very well. This is my liquidity range here. And yeah, so if we do move higher, I've got some resistance to where I could bring it back into my range. And then if we move lower, I've got some support too. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how it's played out so far. So it's been 4 days here, and in total, we've had $205 in fees. So, that's $50 a day, and that's actually a little bit more than what I'm making just mining my 4 bytes a day. So, as you can see, this is why I really like to use this liquidity mining strategy. Just take advantage of the fact that I'm earning income, and then multiply that income. So if you have any questions on that, let me know. So I do plan on just keeping this open here because the price of gas, it's taken my APR down a bit, but I expect that to go back up over time. And just to check in on the volume, super low volume. So another thing that could happen is once we start getting more volume, we'll get more fees too. So definitely want to wait for that to happen. And to check in on the liquidity, I noticed compared to the week before, actually, we starting to get more liquidity being added here. So I believe we've had some support and some distribution liquidity pools here. So it's going to be pretty difficult to break through that 0.05 level that we just saw on the chart here. As you can see on this chart, it says bytes price 0.0051. And if you look over here, that's right at the top of this range. So, this pivot chart's playing out very well to what we're seeing on the liquidity pool as well. So because there's so many bytes here, it's going to make it very difficult to move higher. And then when you look on the support side, how much ETH is there to support selling? A lot less. So 2.78 is pretty good. So we've got about almost 6 Ethereum here to take up some of that supply, but then it drops off a cliff here. And this is the bottom of my range at this point, 0.0041. And as I talked about in my previous video, this half of this range here is my buy order. So if you missed last video, I was talking about Chromatica. It's an app where you can use Uniswap liquidity pools to place limit orders. So through Chromatica, you can place a limit order, and what they do is they create a liquidity pool for you. And as the price moves towards the liquidity pool limit price, you can gain some fees as it's moving towards that price. And then once you're, in this case, once the Ethereum in my liquidity pool turns to all bytes, the liquidity pool is closed and my limit buy order is filled. So really cool tool, super capital efficient. You can actually make more money and not have to worry about gas fees because you're making so much money in um, transaction fees back. So really cool tool, and I'm really hoping that I can get lucky and maybe get some sort of spike lower to get that filled. That would be perfect. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. And overall, skipped a couple days here, but the holders are slightly down, about 11 over the last 3 days. And I found interesting the amount of supply only went up 161. So we could be seeing some burning action right now. So definitely good sign there. And just to finish off with the macro view of Bitcoin. So we left off a couple days ago on the 10th here, and I was saying I was still bearish, and that is still true. I feel like we have a very good chance that this momentum is going to move lower, and we're going to possibly test some of these lower ranges that we see on this momentum here. I think that would set up well for the long term. So possibly looking tomorrow is Monday. The stock market will be open. So the best case scenario is to get some red and then find support on Tuesday or for the rest of the week. Or we could have 3 days of red and then Thursday, Friday have some support. Or, we could just have a bearish week overall in the overall markets. That's definitely a possibility with all the fear and uncertainty right now. So honestly, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to get some more opportunities to buy the dip, and that's what I'm waiting for to deploy some extra capital. So again, we're looking at this $37,000 range as support, and I feel it's a very high likelihood that we do get there. And same with Ethereum, we still got this momentum shifting lower here. So we'll keep an eye on that and to check in on how the US dollar is doing. As I've said before, we're in a fear trade right now. So people are looking to take risk off the table, right? So they're going to go risk off, and they're going into the dollar as a store of value. Basically, they're going to the indexes. They're also going to watch the bond market as well. So we have this FOMC this week, I believe, and we're kind of moving towards this 2% 10-year Treasury yield. So we're going to look for that to stabilize. So we're going to see a little bit of volatility going into FOMC, and I think after that, the market's basically prepared for that. I think they'd actually like to hear this raise 25 basis points. So once that happens, we'll see some stability. I think that's when we'll go ahead and see the overall stock market take off. So yeah, that's basically all I got for today. If you got any questions, let me know, and I will catch you later.